Morning all. Just plugging in. You're heading off to work. I got you just before, have I? How's your weekend been, Eric? Hi, Tim. Good, I'm glad to hear that. Well, we had an interesting one this weekend. Got busy with the lathe on Saturday night, which was really nice. Your wife's in London. Cool. Why didn't you come with? Deplorable basket piper. What an interesting name. Sorry, just pull the mic off. Morning, Mix. It's a rare early live session for me, and that's because I'm off today because I've got a dodgy foot. I was up half the night with a pain. Not quite sure what it is. Probably lack of sleep the night before, I'd imagine. After doing that live video, I found it very hard. I found it very hard to sleep. I got to bed. It must have been about 4:30 in the morning, and I think I was up already by 7:30, and I hadn't really slept in that time very much either. And then we went off for the day out to Windsor. So it's been probably too long without enough sleep. I had a good sleep over the weekend, but the thing is with sleep is that you don't store up sleep. You can catch up, but you can't store up. That's how it's been in my experience. Had a good night's sleep on Friday night, had a sleep on Saturday afternoon, and you'd think that you could store up energy, but it doesn't seem to work that way. Good morning, Austrian Piper and Tony. Yeah, you'd love that, wouldn't you, Eric? Could use one of your muskets, shoot it off. I said to myself today, being that I was home, that all the packages, I've got about 3 or 4 packages I need to send out, that I'll get them done. I haven't so far. I had a bowl this morning of opening night, which was quite pleasant. I find it to be a little bit sort of just like pure Virginia with nothing much else. I wouldn't go so far as to say cigarette-y, but it's a very purist kind of flavour. So I took out my Tupperware of baggies, which is sort of bulging. Just looking for something interesting, something I hadn't smoked for a long time. So I thought, I've got a little container of Condor. It comes in these plastic containers inside the pouches that they sell in nowadays. And I've had the odd flake every so often. So I thought I would give it a go. Wow, Tim, you lucked in today then, didn't you? 5 tins of velvet from 1964, wow. I've only ever tried the one pouch of velvet, and initially I didn't really like it very much, and then I don't know if you were on that live session I had with Ben, the Artful Codger, and he sort of ran me through it as I was smoking, and it was certainly more enjoyable. Half and half as well from the 70s, cool. Hi Suffolk, afternoon, pipe writer. But yeah, that sounds like a really good haul. Esoterica Dunbar. Is that a Latakia blend? Is that an English blend? Mississippi Mud. I think I have an open tin of that, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was quite nice, if I remember. Okay, let me just choose a pipe. I think because of the Miskatonic, never heard of it. When you're concerned, I don't know whether you're being sarky or not half the time. Is that a general question, Suffolk? Depends which, really. An aromatic tobacco wouldn't really be better with age. It could be infinitely worse. A lot of Latakia blends improve with age. And Virginias generally will improve with age. Virginia Ford blends. I'm not sure if Burley, I'm not a big smoker of Burley, so I don't really know. I'm not sure if Burley, Eric might be able to answer that, if Burley improves with age. I think vapors also do, but I think that vapors also take on a different, almost a different DNA as they age. And at least the ones that I've had long enough to say, to have put a little bit of age on it. And the flavour does seem to change a little bit with age on vapors, for me anyway. Yeah, so this one, this is pipe is pretty much dedicated to amphora full aroma. But because it's got that kind of slight aromatic in there, and this has got some, I think it's got a little bit of a floral essence in there. So I figured it would be okay in this pipe. This is an Ascorti panel, square shank, smokes very well. I think this was an eBay purchase, if I'm not mistaken. Now to find my lighter. Ridiculous, it's so typical, Put stuff down, you just don't find it, and it's usually in front of your eyes. There it is, right under the phone. Morning, Josh. How was your weekend, Josh? All good? Cheers, Mix. I won't be staying on for long. It's just really just to say hello, and the fact that I'm at home today, so I thought I'd come and say hello. Pipes, beards and guns. Good morning to you. Oh, good. Did you go for half and half with the different coins, or you just took a mix? You just grabbed whatever came to hand. NC Pipe Smoke, good morning to you. It took me a long time to actually pull the trigger on the lathe, I must be honest. I'm kind of itching to go back out there, but in principle, if I'm not going about my daily schedule, I'm not going out there for now anyway. Morning DDP. I think I'm getting all you US guys on your way to work. I guess Hector must be at work. It's lunchtime for him. It's after lunch. It must be 20 to 2 in the afternoon for him. Sitting at work watching like a ninja. Yeah, you said that last time I was on, middle of the day, I think. I'm trying to get to grips with this flavour. It's quite elusive, this St. Bruno. I don't think I enjoyed it last time either. Cheers, Suffolk. Have a good day. This is the flake version of St. Bruno, and it's been in my sort of baggy box probably for a couple of years now. I bought it once on vacation. I think I bought it in either Sainsbury's or Tesco's, OTC. It's either a year or two, and it's been in there since then in this state, you know, without it being in a box or anything, and it's still got moisture in it. It just shows that the top of those do their job. Here he is. Here he is. Trouble's here. Trouble is here. So it's the Ascorti. Just look at that grain. Actually does have some nice grain there on the non-rusticated section. Actually, it does remind me that I do want to make myself a rusticator. I especially bought some composite glue. And I thought I'd turn a handle out of some wood that I've got lying around, hollow it out, fill it with nails, glue it, and that's your rusticator. The bottom 95% is doing just fine. Besides for having a dodgy foot, which is why I'm at home talking to you guys. Been going through my pipes that I don't use. Dumblain Piper, hi, thanks for joining. This tray or that tray. It's about a year and a half, 2 years, something like that. It's been sitting in my top and drawer, like this, basically. Once it's open, these containers are open. They don't come in tins anymore here in the UK, but it's still got plenty of moisture in it. I haven't smoked it enough to really get to grips with it. Last time I tried it, I didn't enjoy it. I haven't really enjoyed the first part, but it's starting to actually improve now as I get down the bowl. Cool, that's pretty heavy going, having a gym workout in your lunch break. Time you get warmed up and cooled down. I'm not surprised you've done something to your shoulder. Aren't you all in a bit of a rush? You get a chance to warm up properly and loosen up. Hey up, Papa 64. Hey up, lad. Anyway, so I was going through all my non-filtered pipes last night, just trying to think what to do with them, if I should do another sale or not. Not sure if there's any appetite for it. But I would like to see them gone. Not because I want to see the back of them, but just no point in them sitting there. I find eBay nowadays, at the moment, I'm only smoke filtered pipes. Yeah, I used to smoke non, but I'm firmly in the filtered camp now for over a year. "40-minute workout, I suppose it's better than no workout at all." Well, I hope you feel better soon. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why there is such a negative attitude towards filters by those who don't smoke filters, but I suppose that's just the way people are. If they don't do something, people who do it are in some way inferior. But I don't see a downside. People talk about the narrowing of flavors, and that kind of thing, but I don't see it at all. I don't see it at all. Yeah, I hear that, but I suppose it's a topic for discussion. Are you on filters, Hector? I don't remember. Some people talk about a restricted airflow, but I don't see that either. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's something that Bill Burr says in one of his comedy routines, is that people are all forever spouting their own opinion and quoting google.com, the website of imright.com. You can always find something to corroborate your position online, and then you can go and spout it later on. But as far as Brits and Bruno is concerned, I'm not particularly enjoying it. Thought it was improving, but not really. Not for me. Yeah, I mean, some people say, the purists say, that if you knew how to smoke a pipe properly, you wouldn't need the filter. And believe me, I've tried. Although I guess they would say I haven't tried enough, but I tried. I tried really hard last year. I tried for about 2.5 years. Yeah, 100%, Hector. But I do envy people who've got asbestos mouths, and they can just chug away at anything without any hassle at all. If not just for the fact that I could have a choice of pipes that I would really like to try, which I can't. Hi Art, how you doing? You managed to smoke Boswell's without a filter, Art? Yeah, Dunblane, that's 100% true. It's a matter of adjusting, and that's what I've done. I've adjusted the way I pack the pipe, and it's exactly the same. I really don't see a difference. And it's also got a byproduct in that a by-benefit that it reduces gurgle by a large degree. I rarely get it. I do still get it occasionally, but rarely. I use the Vaughan ones. I think these are probably the most commercially available ones. Dr. Pearl Jr. by Vaughan, or Vaughan. Faun. Yeah, I have found it to be extremely consistent, and I can rely on them. I can just rely on what I'm going to get. Truth be told, they're the ones that I've smoked the most, so I can't really comment about the others. There are some Peterson ones, and which I assume are made by one of the other big companies, very likely by Vaughan, possibly. A 6mm, I haven't really tried. I find that they're not as readily available, but I might still pick some up at some point, because that will certainly give you more access to a bigger range of Savinelli pipes. Good evening, A. Miller. Is that your name or your trade? Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's essentially the same sort of benefit, is that it draws in the moisture. You don't get the gurgle. The disadvantage is the same thing, that you can't run a pipe cleaner through it. Because sometimes you do still want to get a pipe cleaner through it when you are getting some gurgle, and you can only put the pipe cleaner in as far as the filter. Cheers to Blaine. Have a good one. I wouldn't be surprised if the Stanwells are made by one of the big companies. I have tried the Meerschaum ones. I think they're the White Elephant one, those ones. But I don't remember what they were like. Did I say evening? Freudian slip. Or Fraudian slip. I have tried balsa. When I first bought my first Savinelli, that's the 606 one that I smoke sometimes with aromatics. So that one came with 9mm balsas, and they did work. Not that I knew the difference, because I had only just started smoking a pipe, but they did work. Whenever I took them out, they were sopping wet. Stanwell pipes are indeed made in Italy these days. And to be honest, I doubt even that Stanwell makes filters. I might be completely wrong with that, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's just a couple of makers of the filters who just get them rebranded, because it is a fairly specialized manufacturing process. It may not be complicated, but it would seem odd for Stanwell to be going into that. I might be wrong though. See your pipe, Spears. You can use them more than once. I personally don't, but except in emergencies, when I'm without a filter and there's still one in the pipe, but generally speaking I use them once. Well, if you're happy with the way your pipes smoke, then there's no reason. The only reason to get them, if you're happy with the way it smokes, was really for the charcoal ones, is perhaps to filter out some of the stuff that's in there, but balsa wouldn't really do that. But by all means, it's always a good experimentation. You might find that you enjoy it much more with the filter. You never know. Well, I'm managing to get through this bowl, but it's just really not my thing, this stuff. Thanks, pipe writer. Well, if you're a wet smoker, that should give you some advantage. I actually think that 9mm pipes are becoming more popular in the US. It could be that Stanwell do make them, I don't know. I was just surmising. It's very possible that they do. I would be surprised, but it's very possible. In actual fact, something which has surprised me is that a lot of the sub-companies of tobacco, the tobacco makers, for instance, Amphora, for instance, which is now made by, well, I suppose it's owned by McBaren. I was going to say that I'm surprised that they all are happy to put on there which company makes them, the tobaccos. But in truth, with Amphora, it's actually owned by McBaren, so why wouldn't they put their name on it? But I think there are some companies out there which have tobaccos made by other companies. I think Art is stoking the fires, stoking the embers. I think he's being tongue-in-cheek. It's like which coffee you drink, caffeine or non-caffeine, or decaf. Real men drink real coffee. Yeah, absolutely. Black, of course. That's right. Hector, you and I need to have a chat one day, one-on-one. As a friend of mine used to say, between four eyes, we need to have a chat. Black, of course. Mr. I Am Man Commando. Come back home when you got some underwear on. There's a good lad. Using the vortex method. Optimizing at a molecular level. Ice and Scotch. Come on, that's the only way to go, isn't it? Piper 64. You have to show your feminine side as well, because we're gender fluid these days. I didn't do my morning drive this morning. Mr. I am just kidding around. I didn't do my morning drive this morning, my little rant. I was listening to the radio this morning. What were they talking about? Oh yeah, they were talking about Ofsted, which is the British oversight of our education. Supposedly independent from the government, but it's a supervisory board which oversees our education. and they just announced that from next year they're going to be starting to teach 4-year-olds about relationships and what else was it? I can't remember. There's a few things that they were going to start to teach from 4 years old, so that children of transgender couples would understand the difference, and they possibly have some issues of growing up, getting bullied or being confused, or same-sex marriage children. But perhaps for another time. I just think they should focus on teaching 4-year-olds education, maths, English, or whichever language it is that you teach, whichever country you're in. It's all going too far for me. And that's not because I have a personal issue with any of those type of groups, but it's just not what the world should be focusing on. Did you see Match's video with the pipe nook with Eddie? It's quite an interesting format, that. I'm not sure how it works. And who controls which screen is on at any one time? Or is it just by speech? I don't know. It was an interesting format. I don't think this was sex education per se. This was more geared towards the whole gender issue. Yeah, it was interesting to see how that worked. I also enjoyed Kane Rod Piper's video, his premiere video. Did you see that one? Morning, Harriet. Well, it's pretty cool though. I just liked the way, it was just good to see both of them. But I especially liked Kane Rod's, his premiere video where he'd pre-recorded the video and then could go live with it and talk and sort of chat amongst whoever was on live at the time whilst the video was playing. So I think that's quite a cool thing, because if you're doing something like this, which is just a chat, a virtual meetup, then it's not necessary, it doesn't make sense. But when you're doing, for instance, what he was doing a tobacco pressing, or if you're doing a review, or if you're doing something physical, then you can talk about it and chat and not have to worry about doing what it is you're doing. When you're doing something manual, you want to focus on what you're doing. So it was quite a neat idea. Incidentally, Harriet, that package still hasn't arrived. It's still saying the same thing on the British Postal website. In actual fact, I just looked at it before. This is what it says. It arrived in the UK 29th of January. So we're almost a month there. Parcel has arrived. It will soon be sorted, although some parcels do require customs clearance prior to this. I sent in an email to the post office a few days ago to ask them if they could find out what's happened to it. I got an email back saying we can look for it, just we need to know who sent it, what your address is, the size of the box, the reference number, what it was declared as, and what's inside it. So I've not answered, because the words, anything you may say may be taken down in evidence against you and used against you, starts to make me nervous. So I haven't answered it, and we'll just see what happens. I might just get back to them and say I've got no idea what it is. Here's the reference number. The declarations on the box, find it and send it to me. But for the moment, I'm just leaving it. And I'm expecting at some point to get a letter from them saying that it's been confiscated or destroyed. The only other possibility is that somebody has whipped it even before going through customs. And I should really say that there's an iPhone in there worth $1,000. But I'm going to leave it a bit longer and see what happens. Yeah, it does sound like it's gone. I wouldn't mind if they sent me the bill for the tax. I can decide if I want to pay it or not. But not to hear anything from them, that's worrying. And you can bet your bottom dollar, whoever's pinched it in customs, he won't be paying tax on it either. But that's the risks we take, I guess. I have to say that over the few years that I've been sending and receiving stuff from the US, I've had a very good record. I've been very fortunate. I think the very first order from the US I got nabbed. That was from smokingpipes.com, the first ever order I made. That was when I was very, very green in the whole subject. And I paid the tax because I was anxious to get the tobacco. I think I got a Jake Hackett pipe. I think I once had to pay tax on one of those, although I've had probably 6 to 8 of his pipes. And it's only ever been stopped once, I think. Yeah, in terms of nabbed, I think I've only had one, which has been taken. Destroyed. And one that I'd sent had been destroyed as well. One that I'd sent to, I've said this one before, I keep forgetting his name. From Germany. I'm surprised that's in the EU, isn't it? Why is that a problem? Well, it depends where you are, Austrian Piper. I just assumed you were in Austria. But if you're in the US, then fair enough. Austria! I am. Whereabouts are you based? You're in Malaysia. Well, to my palate, you're not missing much. In Austria, you can't buy tobacco online, really. Well, I think in Italy they have the same problem. When I was in Venice, I tried to get the guy there who runs the only decent tobacconist in Venice, and he wouldn't send it. He said it's just not worth the risk. He said if he gets caught once, he loses his license to sell tobacco. Oh, you can buy from abroad, right? Okay. Spain, you can't buy online. I'm surprised. Yeah, Tim, I think you're right. I think we are going in that direction. Because I think Spain is one of the biggest cigar markets, one of the biggest Cuban cigar markets in the world, isn't it? Between Spain and France. So I'm just surprised that they can't. I mean, I buy a fair amount. I mean, I haven't recently, not for a long time, but when I was buying up cigars, I bought most of them from Spain via Facebook. Yeah, so the businesses in Spain well, online. It depends what you call online. But on websites, I don't know. It's a tricky one, you know. I'm surprised because people keep saying that the tobacco industry will never be banned because it brings in too much revenue for the governments. Yet they're really restricting it to a point where it's becoming squeezed and asphyxiated so that it can't survive. And that seems to be the way they're going. But they're just doing it in a steady, slow and steady approach and constantly increasing the stranglehold on the industry. And they say in America, for instance, that the cigarette industry will never be banned because it's so huge. You know, companies like Marlboro and the big conglomerates that own the tobaccos and the tobacco companies and the tobacco production, they've got such a huge lobby that it would never be banned. But I don't know. In America, are things getting harder in America? You can buy tobacco in shops, Abdul, can't you? I mean, tobacco is not banned in Malaysia. Well, that's a pleasure we don't have anymore in the UK. Can't smoke in any spaces like that. You can just about smoke outside these days. I'm not sure if it's banned in parks. I don't think it is. I think you can still smoke in a park. Well, in America that would be quite a big deal because you've got a huge amount of aromatic tobaccos there. Most of the B&Ms have all got their own house blends and things like that. I mean, that's how it's started here. There are. I'm not quite sure of the regulations here because technically you can't blend your own, put flavorings in your tobaccos, but you can still buy a vanilla flavored tobacco, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Tim, am I right there? The rules are strange. I don't know, because for instance, the McBaron blends like Dark Twist, I can't buy it here. Don't know why, but you just can't buy Dark Twist. So there'll obviously be some ingredient in there which crosses the line on the UK rules, and I can't buy it here. That's all right, Abdul. You're doing just fine. I think we understand you perfectly well. But I was glad to see Aaron Moore. I wasn't sure if you could still buy Aaron Moore or not. But when I was in Windsor yesterday, I bought a tin of Aaron Moore Flake, and it's delicious. It really is. I was going to do a first review of it, a first impressions, but I have to say it tastes very similar to the mixture. Maybe a little bit richer actually. So maybe it'll be worthy of a video at some point. I don't know. Yeah, the name's absolutely Tim, yeah, that's true. And the whole idea of it is about the attracting youngsters to the hobby, or to, it stems from cigarette smoking. I wonder what the next stage is, Tim. Yes, light is also banned, yeah. Because if you go buy cigarettes in the shop now, all the boxes look the same. There's no design, no pictures, no nothing on the boxes. And I just wonder what their next stage is. Where else can they go? What I don't understand is why they don't get to the root of the problem and just say that we can only sell cigarettes which are purer. The problem with all the cigarette tobacco is all the additives that they put in there, all the chemicals and all the carcinogens. Why can't they change the rules so that those are banned or at least reduced greatly? I don't get that. You know, that if that's the issue, then just deal with that. Oops, sorry about that. Yeah, that's a logical step, Tim. That seems to make sense. Yeah, that would virtually kill the industry, though. I mean, people like My Smoking Shop and GQ Tobaccos, Gauntleys, all these kind of people, they've had to move over to the internet because there's not enough footfall. If you now ban the internet, it's just going to kill the industry. And there will come a point where people will rue the day that they didn't build up their cellars. So they've gone online, haven't they? The one that used to be, is it Gauntleys that used to be, or is that in Nottingham? There was I forget what they were called. The one in Leeds. Greens, right? Okay, so they're still online, aren't they? Yeah. Good morning, Signalman. Tony. Well, that's a pretty good selection there. Abdul, Erin Moore, Stanwell, Samuel Goworth, McBaron, Navy Flake, and Fora. That's pretty good. That's a nice selection you've got there. Alright people, I'm going to wish you all a fantastic day. Thanks for joining. Really just a little pop in to say hi at a different time of day. Always enjoyable as ever. Thank you Quaker, Signalman, Tim, Abdul, Austrian Piper, Deplorable Basket Piper, Josh, Abdul, there we said Abdul, and Harriet, or Hugh, whichever one it may be. Thanks all. And we'll catch you again soon. Thanks Mr. Miller, or Miss Miller, or Z Miller. Such a mischievous little boy. Alright everybody.